Okay, it is time for actually kind of a surprise update, everyone. Wasn't expecting news this week. I actually was expecting news on next Monday, but here it is, and kind of works out because we get to talk a little bit about Black Friday too, so let's get into it, shall we? So, first of all, what do we got? Well, December is coming up, which means we're going to be seeing some, probably a producer's live letter, I would imagine fairly early next week, if not in the next couple of days, which will probably give us an idea of, EXs for the next month, as well as new master ability, number twos for certain old characters, just about predictions, I guess. Before we get into like the really cool stuff, let's talk a little bit about predictions. There aren't really too many characters left that are short of their EXs. So, and I imagine that they're still working on tactics. So I think in the month of December, we're probably only going to see maybe a single new EX, and I think it's probably just going to be Sakura. Because I can think of three at least who don't have EXs, which is Sakura, Garvel, and Elsie. And there's probably one more I'm forgetting, so maybe that's the one. Maybe we'll see two UREXs. Maybe we'll just see all the EXs next month just to clear it out and be done with it. But yeah, we're going to probably see at least a few EXs for older and characters, and definitely some new master abilities. But short of the usual book schedule as well as a new map, we're also going to be getting a brand new character, and the next into the Warriors of the Crystal series, which so far have all been fantastic. I've already talked about it. Joom is an amazing tank. Setia, an amazing ranged. Renan, an amazing mage. And last but not least, now we have Ice. And interestingly, Ice is going to be the first interjection between some of the characters. Like, if you take a look at the releases, I mean, Setia didn't exactly counter Joom, which was really nice, and then Renan didn't, effectively counter Setia, which was pretty nice, or Joom. So there was the first three Warriors of the Crystal actually felt pretty good to invest in, just because you had a good amount of time of not having someone directly counter them. But here we go, and now we are going to be getting into more of the direct counters. So as you can see here, this will be the first guy out to counter Joom, essentially. This is going to be Joom's counter, I guess. Although partially not, because we'll see about the prevalence on the JP side of Celeste. It's still a little too early to see Celeste everywhere, but I assume it will be happening because it feels like basically everybody got her on the JP side, or almost everybody. So at this point for Warriors of Crystal, we have a tank, we have a mage, and we have a ranged character, and the last character looks to be DPS. So if we are following the kind of roles, here we have our healer and support, and that's what he turns out to be. So an ice 100 cost unit. Main job is called Warrior of Crystal of Ice. Secondary job is Scholar. And last job is Arithmetician. Hell of a lineup, I have to say. First of all, Arithmetician still feels like one of the best classes in the game, especially one of the best classes that's been around for a while. Still has some really good skills. Healing AoEs, damage AoEs, less restriction for range, and also have support skills. As for Scholar, some nice damage, some nice defense, and just some good stuff all around in that class too. So taking preemptively, not knowing about how good this character is for those two jobs, what exact abilities he has, it looks like a strong lineup. By the way, his name is Berith, although I think Berith will probably be the English version that we will eventually get. He just, it's a really good job lineup for his sub jobs. And taking a look at his main one, we get some early details of what this character will be like. First of all, Limit Burst is a damage one, AoE with a pretty massive range on it. What's interesting, it's dealing large damage, it's sure hit, and also creates a protective barrier around this character. I want to say from my checking it earlier that it was on physical, but that may not be true. It may actually just be damage. I'll double check. Actually, I'll just double check that right now in the middle of this video. Whoops. But it is a 3 times barrier, so whether it's just physical or it's magical as well, that's going to provide him with some pretty nice protection and keeping himself alive. Limit bursts usually are fairly good priorities for characters, so I'm not too worried about the AI doing this, although we'll talk about AI in a second. But the fact that it's sure hit damage is really good given that TMRs lately with evasion have been popping up and becoming more of a problem. Tifa's actually an evasion character now on the JP side, or should I say more so. So yeah, this looks good, and I'm curious about how this will actually affect, as Tifa and 2B are fairly prominent on the JP side. They're pretty common along with Jum in a lot of guild battle and PvP stuff, so I'm very interested to see whether or not this character will really deter, because this is also, to get into it, our first male kind of healer of a really high tier, and that could make him just a pretty common thing depending on how his kit is. Keep in mind that in the past, Setia, Jum, and Renan are all incredible, so I'm very, very, very certain that this character will also be incredible. Now, taking a look at his second ability in his kit, it is essentially a haste and speed improvement, which is a big deal. It kind of paints him that he is going to be also a support character as well. So because we got sure hit damage, but we also now have a speed up effectively. And last but not least is a AoE heal, but not a small AoE heal. This is essentially looks like Ayaka's heal on a diamond AoE, which, okay, I'm just curious about how good this character's kit is. There's a few things that, you know, like, are we looking at more of a healer like Ayaka or Fina, who have big AoE heals that can also deal with status effects as well? Because that would make this character a big good get, in my opinion, for investments. But what else does he have for support? Does he have defense support? Does he have damage up support? Can he debuff the enemies? I'm curious about the rest of his kit. This is one of the characters where, you know, when we were thinking about Setia, it was like, okay, she's going to be able to do DPS and probably do a lot of stuff really well. Jum, she just needs to tank really well. And Renan, he kind of just needs to do magic, but, you know, what are the other details? What else can he do? What does his kit look like? Is he a Yuna-like healer? And the other big question here is, what is his AI like? Because that's also something else that is potentially really, 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 really scary about his performance. Is he going to only focus on buffs? Is he never going to use his DPS skills? Will he use his DPS skills regularly? Is he someone like Black Witch Helena, which focuses on DPS but kind of has a generally good, you know, level of figuring out that, oh shoot, I should heal now? Or, you know, like, what is the priority on his AI? That's going to be, I think, the most interesting thing about whether or not this character is good. But taking a look at his master ability, Hate Down automatically on this character makes him already much better protected than some of the other healers who just have a neutral hate. Either way, it keeps the focus off this guy really nicely, and he has a casting time already down by 30, which is probably pretty big. Well, not big a deal for Arithmetician, obviously, but maybe his main job and Scholar are just going to be pretty close to instacast once we see how it all shapes out. Either way, he looks like an I haven't been disappointed by any of the Warrior of the Crystal characters at this point, and I very much doubt that I will be disappointed about this character. But as a male healer, he already has something nice going for him with the ice element, with the new Chaos Odin card. Potentially can slot in really nicely with Celeste on a kind of water ice team. So I'm just super curious about this and how well he turns out. Of course, there will be a new weapon to be obtained. As you can see, we'll just call it Berith's book for now, until it gets an official name at some point. But curious whether this will be like a book that improves healing, or whether it'll have really good DPS on it. Exactly how, but the art looks really freaking awesome. Looks like just a great little design for a book, and it's nice to see some more books. And before we continue on, just very obvious point, I wonder at one point whether or not in the design this was supposed to be Nicole, because if you think about it, it's kind of a mage support character that that is, you know, has some healing, has some, you know, damage, has all of this, and he uses a book, and he's the ice kind of water element character. Why do I feel like this was Nicole at one point, and it just got changed over to this idea eventually, which, to be fair, I like this more. I don't know, maybe it's Nicole's great grandfather. All right, puns aside, the other thing to note is on Black Friday, we're seeing a couple of things. First of all, this shop right here, which has deals like this, like this, like this, like that, and like that. By the way, those are just like different kinds of awakening materials. Not bad. 600 of those is kind of tempting almost, and not to mention all this top to bottom. And interestingly, this is something that has shown up on the JP side for the 2nd anniversary. Now, just like a flower for $1 million, which is a nice bonus, and this is pretty negligible, and so is this, I would imagine, at this point in the game. But this is the interesting part. So you get 100 of those. 100 of those, you can buy up to 5 of them if you're insane. And last but not least, these are effectively UR selectors for the EX orbs, but if you'll notice at the top, well, check that out. We got Final Fantasy 6, 10, 4, and 7. Nothing for tactics yet. Nothing for near or anything, but if you were looking for a way to get about 80 extra orbs to maybe speed through upgrading some other characters. Now, overall, I don't think this is a good deal, just because 2,000 paid lapis is a fair bit right now, as opposed to going on some guaranteed banners and potentially getting, you know, a brand new character that you want. And always, there is just the barracks, right? Like if you go in here and you just use the barracks, you can get these over a longer period of time if you are more patient. So yeah, I don't think that's incredibly crazy, or good for Black Friday deals, but they are something if you are looking for them or curious what they look like on the JP side this year. All right, and 2 quick notes before we end this video. I have seen the request to run a light elemental / base team. I've seen it, I've heard it. I am working on it. As you can see, I'm really close to finishing my Thancred, as well as getting Lucio is done, but I kind of also want to get Cecil a little bit more done, as well as Locke, to kind of show what that light elemental team would look like in a better way. Also, the friend Thancred that I saw, I don't have access to him currently, so that's just kind of poopy. But last but not least, I'm also kind of working right now on finishing a couple of vision cards. This one, which is still a few days away. And last but not least, wherever the heck it is, this one as well, which I think is going to make for a nice combination together to make that slight slash team. So I am going to do a video on that in the future because I'm pretty interested in it, so I have not forgotten about that. Also, in the near future, I am going to be doing a video on TMR upgrading, basically once I have a few more resources, but needless to say, it is it's a little expensive, you guys. It's just a bit. So anyway, guys, that's all for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of Berith, and next week we'll take a better look at him and get a better idea for what the month of December is going to look like for the JP side. Anyway, hope you Globalers are doing well. Thanks for watching. Take care, and see you in the next video.